Well, for some reason, I didn't have enough of it the first time. I don't hate myself quite enough yet. So we are going back in for a second round, part 2 of reviewing anti-Matt Walsh, anti-me TikTok videos.
Shit. Here we go again.
This is someone who's upset about something I said actually very recently.
Meet Matt Walsh. He's a douchebag that works for Ben Shapiro's company, The Daily Wire. And this is what he tweeted out this morning. We live in a world where nobody can pay attention to anything for more than 5 seconds. There's constant stimulation and distraction everywhere all the time. There's no such thing as ADHD. Your lack of attention is a cultural and environmental problem, not a mental disorder. As the father of a daughter who has ADHD, I just want to tell Matt Walsh, F you, because you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like when your daughter is angry at herself because her brain does not work like her peers' brain. The fact that people get mad at her because of how her brain works. And she tries so hard. So you should probably think about that before you tweet some bullshit.
Here's what you should think about. Thank you for giving me things I should think about. Let me give you a couple suggestions. First of all, emotional blackmail is not an argument. I made my point, about the environmental factors that contribute to distraction, which at the very, even if you don't agree that explains all ADHD, it's at least a valid point that any intelligent person could recognize. And there have been many books written, especially recently, about this problem, that we live in a society that breeds distraction. At least if you're semi-intelligent and a rational person, you must admit that there's something here worth exploring at least. But you're so much in your feelings about it that you can't get past that. Well, how dare you? It just makes me feel so bad to even talk about this. Well, then keep walking, bud. Okay, if what I tweeted on my account makes you upset and makes your tummy hurt, just don't take part in the conversation. Let the adults have the conversation. But don't try to swoop in to my own account and tell it and just announce, well, we can't talk about this. No. No, it's a relevant thing going on in society that we are going to talk about whether you like it or not. The second point also is that you actually have no idea about my own life experience at all. So anytime we have this conversation about ADHD or mental illness, you always have these people who are like, well, you have no idea. You've never been through this. How do you know what I've been through or what I've experienced how do you have any, you don't know. You have no clue. You're just assuming that because I've arrived at different conclusions from you, I must not have had any of the experiences you have had because you think in your little egotistical pea brain that anyone who has your life experiences must arrive at the same conclusions as you because it is impossible that you could possibly be wrong. That's what you think, okay? Third, if your daughter is upset because her brain doesn't work like other kids, and you brought your daughter up, okay? You've made it personal. I have not. You did that. So you want to talk about your daughter. Let's talk about her. Your daughter's upset because her brain doesn't work like other kids. Your solution is to agree with her and tell her that her brain is broken and needs to be fixed with drugs. Now, how is that less insulting to your daughter than my point, which is that her lack of attention is not a disease, and it's not anything wrong with her, but rather a reflection, first of all, of childhood, and second, of an environment which cultivates distraction. So again, you might disagree with my conclusion and my argument, but I fail to see how it's insulting to your daughter for me to say, no, I actually don't think that there is anything wrong with her brain. How is that insulting? How is it offensive to tell someone that I don't think that there's anything wrong with their brain? This isn't about your daughter. Don't hide behind your daughter. This is about you. This is about you feel bad if somebody calls into question your decision to give your child those drugs. So at least admit that. Stop hiding behind your kid. All right, we'll try this.
What? I think I finally read something so asinine, so ignorant, so uncivilized that I actually lost IQ points trying to figure out how this motherfucker puts his pants on every morning without asphyxiating himself. What?
Well, it says on the screen there that this tweet made him dumber. The tweet of mine made him dumber. And I'm scared for him because he doesn't have much IQ to spare. I think I may have just killed this man.
What?
By making him dumber. And I'm sorry for that. You know, you may imagine that you have freedom, but it's mostly an illusion because there are like 2 or 3 companies that control pretty much all of our online activity. Big tech is more powerful than most countries are, and they profit by exploiting your personal data. It's time to put a layer of protection between your online activity and these tech juggernauts, and that's why I use ExpressVPN. Think about how much of your life is on the internet. Sadly, every site you visit, video you watch, or message you send gets tracked and data mined, but when you run ExpressVPN on your device, the software hides your IP address, something big tech can use to personally identify you. So ExpressVPN makes your activity harder to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your internet data to keep you safe from hackers and eavesdroppers on your network. What I like most about ExpressVPN is how easy it is to use. Download the app on your phone or computer, tap one button, and you're protected. And ExpressVPN does all of this without slowing your connection. That's why it's rated the #1 VPN service by TechRadar, The Verge, and countless others. So stop handing over your personal data to the big tech monopoly who mines your activity and sells your information. Protect yourself with the VPN that I trust to keep me safe online. Visit expressvpn.com/WalshYT to get 3 extra months free. We'll go to our final TikTok here. Let's see what we got.
And this one's a real doozy. You ready? Notorious nightmare online and poster Matt Walsh really gave away the game here, saying he wants to find one person in the US who really wants to vote that would find it difficult to do so. First of all, you shouldn't have to really want to vote to be able to vote. You should just be able to do it. Even if you hate the process, it is your right as an American. But then he goes on to say that things like voter ID work as an extremely basic IQ test for voters. Yeah, as in he a f***ing peach. We've said this before and we'll say it again. Republicans are putting these voter suppression laws into place because they want to choose the voters. They don't believe that the voters would choose them if given the option. And now we're just fully saying the quiet part out loud. Once again, let's just be aware of these tactics and do everything we can to stop it.
Well, notorious nightmare and shit poster. That I kind of like. I might put that on my resume if I had one.
As in he a f***ing peach.
This is not the quiet part out loud for me because it's never been the quiet part. When it comes to my opinions on things, I'm not sure I have a quiet part. I'll just come out and say it. So the fact that I want fewer people to vote, I've never been shy about saying that. I'm 100% clear about it. Yes, I want fewer people to vote. Lots of the people who vote right now, I wish that they were legally prevented from doing so. Case in point, the video we just watched. Because there are so many people who are so overwhelmingly stupid and clueless.
Who cares about this stupid election?
That their vote is not really a vote at all. Like it's not, because a vote is supposed to be, you're considering the options and you make a choice based on what you want. But when you've got just these legions, mobs of drooling morons.
Stupid people vote? Yes!
Stumbling half drunk into the voting booth every 4 years or every 2 years, and like randomly pushing a button or making a selection based on a letter next to a name. That's not voting. That's just rolling the dice. It's even worse than that though, because what happens is these enormously stupid people can be so easily manipulated by, the government and by politicians. And so then it just becomes a game of who can manipulate the most stupid people to do this. And on top of that, there are also a lot of people voting who don't really have a stake in the game. They don't have families, they don't have incomes, they don't have jobs, they don't contribute to society at all. And so they're making decisions about where everybody else's tax money goes, even though they're not contributing to the pot at all. And they're not productive members of society. And I think that's another thing. You should be a productive member of society in order to have a say in what happens in society to that extent. This guy didn't actually respond to what I said. So I'll say it again. I am not aware of a single example, according to our current laws, of a person who really wanted to vote and yet was unable to do so because of voter ID laws. Has that ever happened? This guy could have given me an example and he couldn't give one. I don't think you can. And the thing is, even if you are able to point to a few people like that, then that only proves my point even further, that these are people so incredibly dumb that they should be prevented from voting just on that basis alone. Well, those are all the people that hate me, and there are a few others out there, but look, if you're in the Sweet Baby Gang and you want to show these people the truth, or if you want to be in the Sweet Baby Gang, either way, then make sure that you come back to the channel and that you hit subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and do it now.